Alright guys, let's build a menu with React. I didn't prepare the session. I just wanted to follow a bunch of natural steps about building a menu, and then if I struggle with any of these steps, we'll try to figure out how to deal with the problem together. So I want to add a menu, and I want to add a menu, a mobile first menu. Yeah, you know guys, you got on mobile, you got a sort of burger icon in the top right corner or top left corner. When you click on the icon, you get a panel, you know, sliding panel moving from the left to the right or vice versa, where you can essentially you know, find all the menu items. Imagine that you're building your portfolio, so you'll find classic menu items in a portfolio: homepage, projects, about me, contact, you know, all these sort of things, right? That's important because the menu applies to 99.9% of the web applications in the world. Every web application has a menu, right? So that's why, you know, understanding this process is important. I don't care, I'm not going to care much about the styling. If we got time, we'll do that later on. I first of all want to focus on the functional aspect of the menu. So essentially I'm going to add a button, and when the button is pressed, I'm going to display something. When the button is hidden, when the button is pressed again, I'm gonna switch the menu off, yeah? On and off, on and off, on and off. Then, depending on how much time we got left, I'll talk about how to, you know, style it a bit. All right, so what you can see so far is just, we got this classic, so let me try to move back from one window to the other. So, you know, there is nothing on it yet, an empty app. So, you know, I'm gonna create the structure of my menu straight away. So, you know, as we've been doing in the past, the first thing I like to do is to get a new folder. I'm going to call it menu, and then as part of the menu folder, I'm going to create the menu.js. And also, I said that I'm not going to care about the CSS match, but you know, just to prove that everything works together, I'm going to create some very basic styles for it. Yeah. So I got my app, and then so what I'm going to do on the app is I'm going to import the menu. Import menu from what is it? It should be menu. Is it there? The menu. Yeah, it should be there. Sometimes VS Code is a bit slow trying to, you know, discover new files and resources. Here you go. Here it is. I got my menu. So then I'm gonna display my menu somewhere. I don't know, maybe on top of the title. Yeah, whatever. Alright, so that's my menu, and then here on my menu.js, remember, import React from React. I'm actually doing that process faster than usual because we already know how to do that, right? I mean, if you are already lost here, you need to watch the workshop we did about productivity, where we explain how to create new components, how to drop the components in new files, folders, things like that. Yeah? And if you don't know where that workshop is, let me know, and I'll share it with you on Slack. Cool. So now I'm gonna do function menu. Let me put the menu on the right-hand side, so hopefully you can see both components side by side. There you go. You see on the left-hand side I got the app, on the right-hand side I got the menu, and then for now let's just display a hello world message, yeah, just to get a touch about whether this is gonna work or not. So div class name menu, and then hello, and then let me open my CSS. On my CSS, so for instance, let me add menu, and then I don't know, border 1 pixel solid red. So now my question is this gonna work, guys? That's correct. So first things first, yeah? So we're importing the component, which is nice. However, hey, what is it being imported? Sorry, what is it being exported, yeah? So what should we type? Export, like that? Export. Why default? Is the only one. That's correct. Look, the way we imported it without the curly braces means that's the only component being exported. Alright, so will this work? Will it be displayed with the red border? Are you sure? So I wrote some styles, yeah. So that's not gonna work. Yeah, I'm talking about the styles. Sorry, Elena, I think you said something, but you didn't catch that. So that's correct. That's correct. Remember, guys, to import the styles, right? Menu.css, something like that. Yeah. So hopefully that will be okay. I mean, let's just run it. If I refresh the page, you see, that's good, right? I got my menu, well, or what it will be my menu eventually, but it works fine. All right, so now I'm gonna talk about the functionality itself. So I'm gonna add. Let me try to find the best way of approaching the problem. So first of all, I'm gonna work on the switch mechanism. I would like to add a button. So whenever I click on the button, the menu eventually will be on and off. So let me first of all create the button, and then menu. Eventually, that button will be replaced with a picture, with an image of a burger or something like that. Yeah, eventually. But that's about styling. So I want to focus on the functionality part first, and then we'll talk about the decorators. All right. So, guys, how would you? I want to display a message. Something like, is the menu open? Yes or no, or true or false, something like that. So how would you deal with that problem? Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, definitely ternary operator. So we can do something like, is open, then menu is open, else menu, or menu is visible, and then menu is hidden, something like that. Yeah, just for testing purposes. So what else do I need to do? The state, fantastic. And how do we get the state, Elena? That's correct. That's correct. We need hooks. That's correct. And then what? No. Well, I'm not. I don't say this. That's not gonna work. But I don't like the semantics. I don't like the semantics because what happens if you want to open the menu automatically based on some user events that are not the button clicking? That shouldn't explain how we deal with that. So that should explain the state itself. Wrong. I mean, again. Wait, guys. Wait. I mean, again. Eventually, it will work regardless of what you do, right? But the thing is, based on what you can see on my screen, that should give you a hint about the name of the variable. That's correct, Max. Guys, why the hell we created a variable here called isOpen if then we ignore it? Yeah, we can rename it later on if you want. Fantastic, but let's keep consistency, right? isOpen and then what? Set is open. You can do you can take whatever you want, right? It looks like the convention is that if the variable is called isOpen, the method should be set and then plus the name of the variable. Just the convention, right? And then what? Use state, and then what's the default state of my menu? Yeah, I don't know. You tell me that, guys. That's about UX, right? So when you visit a website, is the menu open? Not generally speaking, right? You need to click on it. All right. And then what else? That's correct, Vicky. That's correct. User state is a hook offered by React, so we need to import it. How do we import it? Like that? That's correct. Why curly braces, Vicky? No, that's a horrible answer. I'm sorry. it is a component of React. Yeah, of course, it is a component with React. But if I did something like that, that's also a component of React, right? So why, the question is, why we need to surround use state with curly braces and not React? Correct, guys, remember, you use the curly braces if the component is not export default. So React is the default component being exported because it's the main one. But that doesn't mean that React cannot export other stuff, right? So that's why with curly braces, you can pass a comma separated list of things that you want to import. No, guys, that's up to you. Look, if I on top of the menu, if I create another component called export, let me create a default function super menu. So I want to have two menus. So first of all, that doesn't make sense. If you got export default, that could happen only once, right? So if I want to export something else, oh, what the hell is going on? Hello, super menu. Is that what I want to do? I want to export two things. One of them, so how many default can we have? One or none at all. Yeah, that's also valid. And the rule is, if the export is default, like now, the menu, the way you import it, let me put them side by side. Yeah, so because the menu is default, you import it like that. If the export is non-default, you import it like that. So that's, yeah. So what happens if we have no export defaults? How can we import both the menu and the super menu? That's correct, guys. That's correct in that particular case, and that's the case of React Router. In React Router, I think you import everything inside of the curly braces, yeah, because they don't export anything as default. So what's the message? What's the message that React Router is telling you? If you don't have any default, the message, the soft message to me at least, is nothing is particularly dominant, nothing is particularly prominent. You got a bunch of components and you can import them all, yeah. However, with React, it's slightly different, because with React, the message React tells you, the core of the library is, hey, the React component, that's the main one. That's the most important one. And then, of course, React is offering you a bunch of utilities, yeah, on top of that one. Sorry, guys, someone is trying to use. Yep. So that's why if you want to use to import use state, you have to import it like that. What you will never ever see, because that's illegal, is something like that. Because look, that's wrong straight away, yeah, from a syntax point of view. Why? Because that's assuming that you got two export defaults, which doesn't make sense. Yeah, doesn't make sense. So export default is one component or nothing, yeah, as React Router does. Anything else, guys? Any questions so far? All right, so will it work? I mean, will it be able to click on the button and then see the message? Why not? That's correct, Vicky. That's correct. That's correct. We are not binding. We are not binding with the button event. So what should we do here? Button and click. Yeah. All right, so what's the name of the function? That's correct. We can do it inline. That's correct. Set this open. What? True? What happened if I pass through? Correct. It will work the first time, because by default it will be hidden. So once we click on the button by the first time, it will become visible, which is correct, yeah. But then further on, starting from the second click, it will be wrong, because the menu will remain open forever, which is wrong from my UX point of view, right? So what should I type here instead of true? What do you think, guys? In curly brace, I don't know, guys. Curly brace or not curly brace? Not curly brace, of course. Look, what type of data is open is? That's a boolean, yeah, true or false. If we put curly brace, first of all, look, you get the errors and everything, right? But the thing is, now you are changing the data of set is open from a boolean to some sort of object, which is not right, yeah? So keep it simple, and yeah, not this open. What do you think, guys? Will that work or not? Why not, Elena? Any complaint about what Vicky suggested? I'm just noticing, guys, that we're importing the menu as default, and because I've been playing around with that, I forgot to bring it up. Yeah, it's by default. But yeah, I mean, to me that looks good. I'm 80% sure that's gonna work. Look, menu hidden, that's correct, and if I click, visible, boom, 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 perfect. You see, guys, how I am approaching the problem. I'm doing baby steps. Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, I could solve the problem without even looking at my web browser, but that's not the right way of doing the things, right? I think it is much better to do one step, go to the browser, make sure the step satisfies your expectations. If it's okay, move to the next step. If it's wrong, then check what you've done wrong. Yeah, I think that's much better than, you know, working on your VS Code for 20 minutes, then suddenly go into the web browser and obviously prove that you failed. Yeah, I've seen that so many times. I've seen that so often, and I don't know why developers, or especially Unity developers, keep doing that. Yeah, if you code for 20 minutes, that's not gonna work. And the thing is, it's not gonna work, but it will take you a while to figure out why that's not gonna work, because you've been doing so many changes. However, if you change one thing at a time, if you break it after that single change, at least you know which line you broke it, because that's the last line you wrote, right? So baby steps, guys, very important. All right, any questions? Parts of the menu open up, but yeah. So what? Wait, Vicky, wait. We are gonna show how to show or hide a menu as a whole, as a box. If then you want to show or hide parts of the menu, that's essentially an aggregation on this workshop. Yeah, but first of all, let's learn how to show the whole menu, right? And how to hide it completely, right? Cool. All right. So, guys, that's that. I mean, I feel quite confident about that. It's working fine. But obviously, we don't want to display the message. We want to show a proper menu. So let's work on that. So I'm gonna create a div called, for instance, menu box. For example, yeah, menu box. And then here I'm gonna add some links. Yeah. I mean, I don't care about the links. I'm not using router, yeah, but just at least the content. So first of all, I would like to have the home page. Let me add a class name to its element. So menu box link, something like that. Yeah. So home, and then I got the projects, and then I got about, and then I got contact, yeah, for instance, something like that. So first of all, if I show you the web browser, is the menu gonna be hidden by default? No, correct. We don't have any ternary operator or anything hiding the menu. So if I go to my web browser, you see, I got it there, and clicking on the menu doesn't trigger any action. So can you tell me an efficient way of displaying the menu just when I click on the button? Yeah, I want the menu to be hidden by default, and only when I click on the menu, pop, it should be displayed. And if I click again, pop, it should hide again. We could create another. Definitely. That's it. I think that's a good idea, Vicky. Technically speaking, we should create a new component for the menu box or menu items, however you want to call it. Yeah, but I don't want to do that right now. I may do that later on. We'll see. For now, I just care about the functionality. Yeah, we got that piece of code. How can we dynamically hide or show that piece of code? We could use a ternary operator. That's fine. Look, actually, we talked about it yesterday. That's why I think it's good timing to talk about the problem. So if it's open, then wait. Baby steps, guys. So if it's open, then yes, I got that. But then else what, Elena? What do you want me to do that? Menus hidden? That doesn't make sense, right? You don't get that. So you see the problem, guys. I mean, that's okay. We could do something a bit dirty, like an empty div, and that will probably make the trick. So now VS Code is reporting some errors, but I got the feeling that's because it's a bit slow. Is it my fault? No, it was just slowliness of VS Code. All right. So look, if I refresh the page, first of all, that's okay, right? By default, it's hidden, and then pop. It works. But there is always a but, right? To me, that's a bit weird. What's the point of displaying an empty div? So can you tell me, based on what you learned yesterday, can you tell me how to solve the problem? The data length, that's correct, Vicky. Look, that's a slightly better way of solving the problem. Yeah. If it's open, then display the menu. Yeah? If it's not open, that will be falsy. Falsy and something will return falsy, so that's not gonna be displayed. If you remember, I'm not sure if it was Elena or Lauren, we talk about indentation. I told you that doesn't feel right to me. Look what happened, guys. If I do right click, if I invite VS Code to format the document automatically, you see, it will leave it in the same line as we discussed yesterday. So to me, that's the most efficient way to deal with the menu visibility. So, questions? No. Yep. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, definitely. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, we'll talk about responsive design. Yeah. So, say it again, Vicky, what do you want to do? Yeah, definitely. We could definitely split that into several components. Yeah. I don't want to do that right now. Yeah, we may do that this afternoon. Because the thing is, we could spend hours actually improving that. And actually, that's a good point. That's a good point. Trying to optimize the look and feel of the component. Before going any further, let me show you something. So you notice, look at the naming conventions I'm using. I'm talking about CSS now. Look, menu, menu box link. Yeah? You may find that a bit weird. Probably what you will do is something like that. Yep, that's probably more natural. So imagine that I want to style my sorry guys, I can hear a lot of background noise, and I don't think that's your fault. All right, it's gone. So guys, can you tell me, imagine that I want to add a border surrounding or a background color or whatever on my box, yeah, on the menu items itself. So can anyone tell me? So I'm gonna write the CSS. So for instance, border 1 pixel solid green. So can anyone tell me the selector? I should type here to point to this box. Dot box. Dot menu dot box, like that. With a space. That's correct. Yeah. Dot menu dot box. That's correct. Yeah. So that's definitely a valid way of solving the problem. And if I show you my web browser, you see it's a bit tiny, but I hope you can see there is a green border surrounding the menu elements. Yeah. So that's okay. There is an alternative, and I'm not gonna tell you which one should you use, right? I'm just trying to offer you different possibilities, and I will give you some resilience. Rather than doing menu and then box, there is another way of solving the problem, which is by doing something like that. Call it menu box. So you are implicitly setting up the hierarchy. So now you can do that. That's pretty much the same thing. You keep the namespace, so if someone else creates a box somewhere else, it's not going to be affected, because now you see, try to read that. I got the menu, and the hyphen means inside of the menu I got an element called box. And likewise, I could do the same thing for the links. So now, if I want to add, for instance, a background color on its link, I could do menu box link, and then here I could do background color yellow, for instance. Yeah. So back to the web browser. You see, that's fine. It works. It works. Now the question is, which coding style should we use? The previous one or this one? I think that's a bit personal. There are some subtle differences. So first of all, with this coding style, you have to type more on the HTML side, yeah? Because you have to type, how many times you have to type menu? I don't know, 40 times, you see? So that's a bit more exhausting under my point of view. From the CSS point of view, however, it's on the other way around. It looks a bit simpler because you don't mess with spaces, multiple dots. Also, that helps a bit from a specificity point of view. Guys, can you tell me if I do dot menu dot box, what I did before, what's the specificity associated to that selector? That's correct, guys, it's 20. And now, what's the specificity associated to the selector below? 10. That's correct. So what is it better, to have a specificity of 10 or 20? 20, or why? Because it's a higher number. So based on that, why don't we add a slash important to every single selector, and we'll have a huge specificity, right? So in other words, guys, specificity, the lower the better. Because if it keeps climbing, if it keeps scaling, at some point you are going to have an issue, right? So the smaller your specificity average number is, the better. And that's why this sort of selector works better. There is another rule, there is another reason why that coding style is slightly better than that one, which is performance. If you do a bit of Googling, you'll find out that, you know, because here we need to match one element, and here we need to match one element and then another element inside of that element. Yeah? And web browsers are not particularly efficient dealing with that sort of a strategy. Yeah, because of some algorithms they use, they read the instruction right to left. I'm not going to explain that now, but essentially they are not super efficient dealing with CSS selectors. Once again, you're not going to make any difference, yeah, if you are dealing with your portfolio. But it is true that technically speaking, that coding style is slightly less performant than coding style. If you're curious about coding styles, once again, let me recommend you the book called Smacks. I think we talked about that already, right? So this is one of my favorite books because essentially it, offers you the point of view of a very senior CSS developer, and he talks about these things, right? Smacks. It's I think the book is free. You can find it online. So yeah, guys, please have a look to it when possible. All right, but apart from these technicalities, I'm not particularly opinionated about whether you use one style or the other. Yeah. Any questions so far? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. So if the class names start with a small letter, that's fine, Elena. I mean, I'm just trying to follow some consistency. Do you remember what I told you? It's okay to be wrong as far as you are consistently wrong. So that's what I'm trying to do here, right? What's the name of my component? It is menu with capital M. My CSS, everything menu, every single reference to menu starts with capital M. So I'm trying just to keep consistency. Anything else, guys? No? So I'm going to do one more thing, and I'm going to delegate the remaining bits about refactoring and things like that for this afternoon. Yeah, because I think this exercise is we can definitely keep working on it for a while. So I think someone said before about about styling or on different screen sizes. Yeah, I mean that sounds okay for me on mobile. But on desktop that's a bit weird because, for instance, on desktop I don't want to have the menu button. I want to have the elements all the time visible on my header, right, on desktop. So let's talk about that. So can anyone tell me how can we approach the problem using CSS? How can we deal with different styles using CSS? Flex, yeah, but before talking about the technique, yes, definitely, I agree with you, Vicky. We can use flex, but how can I differentiate between desktop and mobile? Hello? Hello? Elena? Media queries, that's correct. Do you remember media queries, guys? So you can do media, and then you can create a rule, like for instance, max width. Should I take max or min? That's absolutely right, Vicky. We're doing mobile first development, right? So our first focus was mobile. So now if we want to change something for desktop, this should be min width. And now, how can I display all my menu items aligned in the same row, one after the other in the same row? How can you do that? Well, I want to display, sorry guys, I want to display home, and then on the right hand side projects, and then about, and then contact in the same line. That's correct. That looks good to me, Vicky. So first of all, menu box. So we refer width to the selector we want to play with, and now display flex, for instance. All right, fair enough. I mean, let's try that and see what happens. Look, not too bad. So now let's play mobile and desktop. So on mobile, you see, that's mobile. Looks good. That looks good to me, right? So that's mobile. And now if I move to desktop, so definitely the CSS rule is changing. We can probably add some spacing surrounding the elements. So for instance, I don't know. So just to improve the readability a bit. So we can add padding. Actually, we can do that not only for desktop. We can do that for mobile as well. So let me try to play a bit with the style. So padding 15 pixels, for instance. Yeah, I want to add some spacing, you see, to make the menu a bit more readable. So that's desktop. And now if I go mobile, so I think I'm quite happy with that personally. Can you see, guys, any problem on the desktop version? That's correct, guys. That burger menu was not supposed to be in desktop. That's only good for mobile because mobile you get less space. But when you visit any website, any web application on desktop, the menu remains visible all the time, right? Does it make sense? Guys, are you following me? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about that, I'm afraid. All right, so how can we keep the menu box visible all the time in desktop mode? Yeah, guys, first of all, I don't want to show that button on desktop. That's the first thing. I don't want to show that button on desktop. So how can I keep that button? Let's focus on the button first. That's probably even easier. How can we keep that button visible only on mobile? Button display none. That's interesting, Elena. But now, if Elena was the responsible to push these changes to the cloud, can anyone see what the problem is going to be? No, mobile will be fine because she places the rule in the right location. But can anyone tell me what are the consequences of that change? That's correct. All the buttons in desktop mode are gone. So Elena has essentially broke everything, right? Because the users cannot interact with the platform anymore. That's why it is so dangerous. It is so dangerous to play with CSS sometimes. Because something that sounds naive can break your app completely. So how can we, fix the problem? All right. Okay, let's have a class name. I like that. Just to keep consistency with our naming conventions, I'm going to call the class name. I like that. Menu. That's button. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Vicky. I explained that 5 minutes ago. So please watch this workshop later on, and you'll find the answer again. All right. So here I got menu button, display none. Yep. And that should be hopefully okay. So if we refresh the page. If we go, first of all, mobile. Yes, mobile is almost perfect. Yeah, you agree on that? Menu, all good. But guys, what's wrong with desktop? That's correct, Vicky. The menu is gone. So now my question is, how can we make the menu always available in desktop mode? Wrong, because your JavaScript code is killing your menu. So it doesn't matter, guys. That problem, I'll tell you something, it is impossible to solve using CSS. It's not possible at all. Because CSS, don't forget something, works on top of HTML. What happened on desktop? That piece of code is not going to be rendered. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. If it doesn't exist, it doesn't matter what you do on the CSS. CSS styles content. If the content doesn't exist, it cannot be styled. So, yeah. Can we change the order? Can we? No. So, guys, whenever you need to do something like that, there are different approaches, different techniques. Let me show you what probably is the most elegant, the most sexy one. So, if you want to display the menu sometimes, but sometimes not, depending on the resolution, that's not going to work. So you need to roll it back. You need to get rid of that. That's the first thing. So that's the first thing. So what happened now? Well, what happened now is looks good on desktop, but we are breaking it on mobile, because on mobile it's always visible. So we are changing the focus of the problem. But that's the first step. Why? Because now, as the menu is always visible, now I can delegate some control into the CSS. And now I can delegate the responsibility of displaying the menu to the CSS part. And how can we do that? Look, let me show you a very nice way of solving the problem. Look, I'm going to add a new class name called isOpen. So whenever the menu box has the class isOpen in mobile, I will display the menu. If the menu on mobile doesn't have the isOpen class, then the menu won't be displayed. So I can play with display block, display none, visibility, all these sort of things. Eh? So I'm delegating the responsibility of showing or hiding the menu from the JavaScript to the CSS. Yeah? JavaScript side will only add a class name. And then the CSS, depending on whether the class name is available or not, will decide if the menu is visible or not. So how can we add a dynamic class name to the HTML? Look at the syntax. I'm going to add a JavaScript expression. So I'm going to create a string. Look at the backticks. So the first thing is menu box. And now, look, guys. Look at what I'm doing. isOpen. Then so what's going to happen? If isOpen is truthy, I will add the isOpen class to the menu box. If it's open, it's falsy, I'm not going to add any new class to the menu box. Let me show you on DevTools. That's not going to work yet because we need to play with CSS. However, I would like to show you that class name being dynamically added or removed from the HTML. So that's too large, so let me zoom it out a bit. And if I select actually I need to go back to mobile to get the button. Here you go. So guys, pay attention to the menu box. You see, menu box, it doesn't have any isOpen. But if I click, you see, isOpen. If I click again, remove. isOpen, nothing. isOpen, nothing. So now, because I got that class dynamically added to my HTML, I can play a bit with the styles. So I can say, hey, menu box by default is hidden on mobile. Yeah, remember guys, I'm mobile first. So by default the menu box is hidden. But if I got menu box dot isOpen, then